If you have a 1980 through 1989 Westfalia camper, it probably has a Dometic 182 refrigerator. It's actually an amazing little unit that works on 110 or 220 AC and 12 volts DC. But running it on propane gas can be a little aggravating. A lot of folks have given up, removed the unit altogether, or replaced it with something else. Sometimes it would light just like, and other times it wouldn't cooperate at all. I finally decided that I'm just going to try and live with it. A combination of Zen and cold beer, of course. I've learned a few things I'd like to pass on, and maybe it'll help. My name is John Thomas, and let's take a look at it. No matter which way you run it on, gas or DC or AC, it takes about an hour before you notice much cooling at all. I get the unit real cold by running it on AC the night before. I pre-cool everything in my home refrigerator before I put stuff in. The Westy-Fridge runs great on AC, but I don't use DC at all. It only works when the engine's on, so you don't end up in the middle of nowhere with a dead battery. And you gotta stop for gas, so it never really has a chance to do much cooling at all. Some people install a separate battery just for this purpose. Whatever works. Depending on the outside temperature, the fridge should run for about 2 to 3 weeks on a full tank of propane. Not bad. Over the years, Dometic and Westfalia have made dozens of small changes to the unit, mainly about the controls we use up front and the exterior propane tank. But the innards remain pretty much the same. So, first things first, go outside the van and check the gas supply. There are dozens of different setups. Just turn that valve to the left, completely open. If the tank was empty and you just filled it up, light the stove to make sure there's gas inside. Then turn it off. Near the center of the refrigerator control panel, you'll see a 3-position switch. It may be labeled 12 volts, gas, and either 120 or 240 volts. Or it may have symbols for an electrical plug, a battery, or a flame. Now select the center position for gas or the flame symbol. On the right there's a control labeled gas off or just gas, or the word off, or a flame symbol. Turn it on by turning it counterclockwise. This is simply an on-off valve which allows propane to travel from the external storage tank up to the top of the refrigerator, but not back down to the pilot light. Not yet. If you're not using gas, just turn this off. This dial regulates the temperature. Some models like this one say E and G thermostat, E for electric, G for gas. Some have nothing written here. The thermostat works for gas, AC, and DC. For starting with gas, we always turn it all the way clockwise to the coldest setting. In this unit, the flame's always the same size, so full to the right means more frequent cooling cycles, not a bigger flame. On hot days, the refrigerator will cycle on and off all the time, but just once in a while when it's cold outside. The button on the left labeled safety valve is actually what allows propane to enter the combustion chamber, located at the back of the unit where you can't see it. In some models, there's just an icon of a finger pointing at the button. This button isn't just for starting, it's also an important safety switch which automatically shuts off the gas if the flame goes out. I'll go over the reasons for this in a minute, but just remember that whenever this button is held down when you're starting, gas is flowing into the small combustion chamber at the back of the unit where you can't see it. There's a very small sight glass inside the refrigerator at the bottom left corner to view the pilot flame, but I've never seen it. There's an old official Volkswagen video on YouTube which recommends that you hold this button down for about 20 seconds. I have more success in holding the button down for only 5 to 10 seconds at most, but 20 seconds may work just fine for you. If you hold the button down too long, the propane gas, which is heavier than air, will begin to crowd out the oxygen, and the pilot light just won't light. Luckily, the refrigerator actually sort of tells you when there's too much gas and not enough oxygen. You'll hear a small pop, actually a backfire, from the flue vent exhaust outside the van. The spark ignited the gas, but there wasn't enough oxygen to keep the flame going. You can usually smell it too. So you add oxygen by using the last control on the left, the air pump. Each stroke introduces a little more air. Now a 40-year-old refrigerator like this one is likely to have air pump seals that are pretty dried out by now and sort of look more like beef jerky. Sure, you can remove the old unit and repair the pump, but even these old ones manage to get some air into the combustion chamber. So pump this thing a lot, 30 or 40 times. I don't think you can pump too much air in there. The idea is to get just the right mix of propane and oxygen so that when we create a small piezoelectric spark by pushing the air pump completely in, we have, as NASA would say, ignition. When you realize that holding the safety button down allows the gas to continually flow, then you'll understand why we need so much oxygen to get things going. So how do you know when the pilot's lit? Well, some units like this one have a gauge with a needle which will move into the green. Most have a small green, blue, or even red light that gets brighter when the pilot's lit. Make sure this little switch over here is on. Now we know what to look for, so let's give it a shot. Hold down the safety valve button for about 5 to 10 seconds to allow propane to flow into the combustion chamber. Now you can let go of that button. We know there's gas in the combustion chamber and it's not going anywhere. Now is the time to start pumping that air pump. 30 or 40 times and be good. Once again, press and hold down the safety valve button with your thumb and don't let go. With your thumb still on the safety valve button, create a spark inside the combustion chamber by pressing the air pump in completely. If the correct ratio of oxygen and gas exists, the pilot light should catch. Keep your thumb on the safety valve now, don't let go of it yet. Now closely watch the gauge or the indicator light. The needle should slowly move into the green, or the green, red, or blue indicator light should begin to glow. If it looks good, keep the safety valve button pressed down for another 20 to 30 seconds before releasing it. If there's no change, keep your thumb on the button and click the piezo igniter a few more times to create additional sparks in the combustion chamber. If the pilot light doesn't catch, stop. Relax. It's time to wait a few minutes and then repeat the process. Only this time change the amount of propane to oxygen. Eventually you'll find the perfect combination that works for you. For some reason I can't explain, it seems easier to light the pilot after the refrigerator's been running overnight on AC and it's already cold inside. Who knows? The gas flame should stay lit no matter how many big trucks whiz by you while you're driving. If you haven't run out of propane and it does go out, there are two main reasons why. If you've ever removed the outside flue vent, make sure all the pieces that you've removed have been reassembled in the correct order. This is a common mistake and has to be just right. Check the water drain at the bottom of the unit. We use this to drain water from the combustion chamber after a heavy rain or a car wash, but the plug must be screwed back in while driving. Think about it, the drain is directly connected to the combustion chamber, so if a gust of wind should come by, it can blow straight through and there goes the pilot light. Some people use the drain as a way to get oxygen right into the combustion chamber to help getting that pilot light lit. You can use a bicycle pump or one of those 12-volt tire inflators, but don't use the garage-type air compressor because it can damage the seals in the combustion chamber. If your unit runs well on AC or 12 volts, but not on propane, then the piezo ignition may not be making a spark, gas may not be entering the combustion chamber, the air pump's not providing enough oxygen, or the three-way switch could be broken. The on-off gas valve at the far right or the temperature control knob may not be working either. If the refrigerator is cold, you can see a flame in the side glass or the flue vent outside is warm or even hot to the touch. The gauge or indicator lights are the problem. Unfortunately, the only way to repair the refrigerator is by removing it from your van. It's a big job, but it can be done. There's all sorts of information on the internet on how to do it. If you do, there's a few low-cost modern-day improvements which are really worth doing. A lot of people replace the original cooling fan, which looks like one of those wind-up propellers in a rubber band airplane. You can use almost any 12-volt computer fan. They're much quieter, more efficient, and they run forever. Rebuilding the air pump's a good idea too. You could also add another very small 12-volt computer fan to the inside of the refrigerator. Just enough to move the air around and keep all your food cold.
But first...
So that's it. I hope this helps. My name's John Thomas, and thanks for watching.